Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe you.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Static on the line, can't hear the calls. Shadows creeping in these fractured walls. Dust in the air, deep scars in the dirt. Frontline stories bleeding, yeah, they hurt. Lace up boots march through the haze. Memories pounding, heartbeat ablaze. Radio crackles, news from the void. Another storm crafting what we destroyed. It's the home front Sitrep gripping my chest. Echoes of battle never laid to rest. Fighting in a world that's torn and frayed, but I'm still standing, yelling unafraid. Sleepless nights with the ghosts in my head, mixing battle cries with the words unsaid. One foot here, the other back in the field. Armor's cracked, but I've yet to yield. Uniforms hung like whispers on the rack, fighting battles that refuse to turn black. Letters and medals, reminders of fire, homes of battle sealed with the same desire. It's the home front Sitrep gripping my chest. Echoes of battle never laid to rest. Fighting in a world that's torn and frayed, but I'm still standing, yelling unafraid.
Welcome everybody to a Monday edition of Homefront Sitrep. Hopefully everybody's doing all right. Gunny's not going to be here tonight. Let's say a prayer for Gunny. Unfortunately, he's spending some time in the hospital. So let's if you're a praying type, say a prayer for him. Hopefully it's nothing too major and that he'll be able to get through it pretty quickly. But no, man, today, so last night we were supposed to have 06 Revley on. Unfortunately, we had a lot of technical issues last night. I don't know if it was on my end or his end, but hopefully it's resolved. I'm hoping. But we did reschedule him for next Sunday, the 13th. We had a floater day, so we went ahead and rescheduled him for the 13th. And then we're going to bring in his partner as well, I believe. Miss Renee, she'll be coming in with him as well, which will be super cool. And I'm hoping that he's got his new computer set up and everything, and we can make sure it's not on our end. But of course, we got a live episode tonight, so we're going to find out, make sure we don't have any kinks on our end on the technical side of things. But I think we should be fine. Today was a hot day, so wherever you're watching, listening, in the chat, make sure you tell me where you're at and how warm it is in your area. Because today, man, it was 92 was the temperature, but with the humidity and everything, I think it was close to 100. So needless to say, I stepped out of my work truck and I just started sweating Of course, I work outside all day long. That's why I got this neat little farmer's tan. Um, but that kind of talks about the guest that we're going to have tonight, from the farm. Which, if you go to their website, which is www.fromthefarm.org, you can check out everything that they do. It's a shop. Like, you can go online, you can, like, best selling products. They got ground beef, 6 pounds, white oak pastures, 55.99 for 6 pounds of beef. Organic chicken breast pieces, 5 pounds from Beck Ranch, $40 for that. Boneless ribeyes, 8 ounce, 2.5 pounds. White Oaks pastures, $114.99. Beef snack sticks, sweet pepper. That sounds pretty good. It's a B bar H premium meat. So you can go on here and you could see, that's on the front homepage as soon as you come there. Um, and if you go and you could see about us, then you could do the blog as well. So about us, it says, where does your food come from? At From the Farm, we connect you directly to local farmers and ranchers, so you know exactly who's raising your food. Every purchase supports small family run farms while providing you with the freshest, most trustworthy options. What's cool about this is, like, you can go in there and you can put your zip code down, and it will tell you local farmers in your area that you can reach out to get a half a cow or a quarter cow, or if you want to do pig, you can do pig as well, and other things as well. So when we bring AJ Richards on here in just a minute, we're going to find out about him, and then we're going to find out about From the Farm, which is going to be super super cool, to find out. Gonzalez, how's it going? So we're going to bring him up here in a minute. I know he's been in farming pretty much his whole life, and we're going to find out a lot about him, and then we're going to find a lot about From the Farm. Um, so yeah, definitely we're going to find out about that, and uh, hopefully Gunny gonna be back next week. Hopefully, I know you guys miss him, but hopefully he'll be back. And keep saying prayers for Candace. I know she's still having some issues with her MS that she has. So keep saying prayers for her as well. And we do have a new addition. He's kind of bright. Let's see. You can see him there. That's Sammy, Uncle Sam. So he's there. He's joining the podcast family as well. Um, but other than that, man, uh, go check out your veteran authors. You got Betsy Ross, you got Vincent Vargas Rocco, you got Michelle Black, who's a Gold Star widow, you got Jeff Nelligan here, you got Jeremy Stallnacker, Chad Robilex. All these are great. Matthias Carter up top here, great veteran authors. When you go and you get their books and you read them, make sure you leave a review. A lot of these guys are independent authors, and how they get recognized is the reviews that you guys leave. So when you go order the fight series from Betsy Ross, look, there's Matthias. Matthias, you see your book right there? That's your book right there, brother. Go leave a review for these guys. Um, that's how they get recognized, and that's how they get a little bit more money in their pocket. And you can find out a lot about these guys by going to their website and ordering the book directly from them. They get more money because Amazon takes a lot, and there's other places that take a lot of the money as well. Thank you, Matthias, for wishing me happy birthday, brother. Uh, so yeah, go check out these veteran authors, man. They do they amazing books. I know Matthias is up here called Instead of Sheep. Instead of sheep, a soldier's way of explaining PTSD to his son. Um, my daughters were a little bit older than what this book is set up for, but after reading it to them or letting them read it, they understand a little bit better on what I go through when I go to concerts or fireworks shows and stuff like that. So even though it's written for a younger child, my daughters understood it a little bit better because they marined it down. He marined it down, even though he's an army guy. He marined it down. Barney broke it down Barney style. So Yeah. Give a big shout out to my daughters. They bought me this hat and gave it to me last night for my birthday, so I had to wear it on the show tonight. Um, but yeah, man, today was a great day. It's going to at the end of the show when I get done. We got people coming over. We're going to do birthday cake, and hopefully my wife will get me food from yeah, yeah, Matthias Barney style. But hopefully my wife will get me some food from where they're eating at, and then they can have cake while I eat my burrito. So we'll see. But anyway, without further ado, let's bring up Mr. AJ Richards to the show. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, brother. Thanks for having me and hanging out on your birthday with me.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure to have you on the show. Adam Bird has talked you up numerous times.
Adam's an awesome dude. Good friend.
Yeah, Adam's amazing. Like, I've been on HMG for a while. I'm trying to get my buddy Ty here with Triple Threat Vets podcast to be on there as well. And I just hope I linked them together. I did my part. Now it's on them two to work out whatever needs to be worked out to get Triple Threat on the network as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a done deal, but it ain't signed, sealed, and delivered yet. But
Nice.
so I want to give a big shout out to Adam because he hooked me and you up. He introduced us, and you know, I've seen some of your episodes when you were doing your podcast, but my people don't know who you are. So if you do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of Homefront Sitrep if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Southern Utah. I was born in Sandy or Salt Lake, but raised my entire life in Southern Utah. My family are fifth generation ranchers, into the sixth generation now. I'm the city slicker cousin, so I got to do the cattle drives and the brandings and all the fun stuff, but I didn't grow up, on the ranch, unfortunately. But just grew up around that my whole life. Always wanted to be a cowboy, wanted to be a rancher. Just needed to do that, when I got older. So joined the Army National Guard for Utah in 2000, 2001-ish. I was trying to get in 2000, had some, I checked the wrong box at MEPS and had to fight for a year to get waivers to get in, and ended up getting in. And anyway, with a mechanized field artillery unit out of Utah, I went to school for the NBC NCO for that unit. Then once I got back, I just did whatever job needed done. So
Nice.
And then we deployed in 2005. First, we were supposed to go in 2003. We were in the field getting all spun up, ready to go. They pulled us in on the last day of our field training in Colorado and said, "Hey, the war's over. This is George Bush announced on the aircraft carrier, the war is over. We don't need field artillery in Iraq anymore. So we're going to send you to Fort Lewis, Washington to play laser tag, Op 4 for the rest of the summer since we've already got you guys activated." So we did that for the summer, went home. They called us back up in 2005. Had to go back to Shelby for another Camp Shelby, Mississippi for 6 months of, training to get ready to go overseas. Cause we're National Guard. So they want to make sure we can handle ourselves and aren't sending lambs to slaughter. But that was an 18-month deployment, 6 months in Shelby, 12 months in Ramadi. So that's where we went, Ramadi, Iraq, 05 to 06. Very busy, very active time. I did multiple missions while I was there. Primarily, I was entry control point security because I was field artillery and I was the NBC guy. So they're going to just shove you where they want you.
Right.
So it was really frustrating, for being there and having a very low speed job. And then the last 4 months, I ended up on route patrolling and securing mobile in Michigan. So that was a little bit more entertaining to finish out my deployment. But, God blessed us. Some people got hurt, but we lost a couple of guys that were attached to us. But other than that, all 500 of us came home. I mean,
that's awesome.
It was incredible. And the mission that we were doing, the people that replaced us lost 12 guys within the first couple of weeks after replacing us. Ouch. So, it was interesting. But anyway, so did that, came home, ended up in Phoenix, Arizona, and opened the first CrossFit gym in Mesa. CrossFit was my introduction to be able to get back into society, to find reintegration, to be able to connect with civilians again. I did a lot of research on PTSD and our hormones in our body and all the things that happen there. Anyway, just some fascinating research I've done, which showed why CrossFit did well for me. Ended up in a bankruptcy. I started a head-to-head fitness competition. We grew to 250,000 live viewers. We had 600 people in house that paid tickets to be there. It was my first attempt at big business, and I went out with a blaze of glory and a lot of lessons.
Oh, man.
You can still find it on YouTube. It's called Rush Club Nation. Anyway, ended up back in Southern Utah, where I'm from. Go through a bankruptcy. We moved back home. Started selling beef for my family, for my cousin's ranch in 2019. COVID hit. The wheels fell off our supply chain. Got me hyper aware of the fragility of our supply chain, and making sure we don't see famine in our country. And so that's kind of led me to where I'm at now with From the Farm. During that time, a lot has happened, and we can maybe go into that if you want. But since selling beef for my cousin's ranch, we started it, was growing our business. We couldn't get slaughter because we would call to get slaughter, and they say, yeah, we can get you in the next 18 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Last week when we called you, you could get 5 in me for me next week. Like, how am I now waiting a year and a half for one? And that's really where I started researching our supply chain and understanding what was going on. God put this vision on my heart. I'm slinging concrete, working Walmart distribution, pulling inventory on the weekend. And I'm like, hell no, I know nothing about software. I want nothing to do with it. And then he kept showing me the face of a man in Iraq that we took care packages to. I'd lay my head down at night, try to go to sleep, and I was seeing this man, never thought about him for almost 20 years. I was seeing me as him, watching other men feed my kids, and I said, okay, God, what do I got to do? Because clearly you're not going to just let me sweep this idea under the rug. And that's where we got going. So we're now, that was 2020. We're now 5 years post, and lots of momentum.
So we do, like my family, we go to a lot of local ranchers or farmers here. Like we'll do, like me and my sisters, so there's 3 of us, and we'll buy half a cow, and then we'll split that half a cow amongst the 3 families. And then sometimes we'll throw in, we'll get either a full pig or a half pig, and that'll be our food for, our meat for the year, or until the next time, we decide to do it. And we got my deep freeze in my garage is full of meat right now. And then plus when I go out deer hunting, I get my deer meat too, my venison from there, and I'll get my hamburger, my deer steaks, my deer roast, my deer tenderloin, all that goes in there. And that's what I love about outsourcing to local farmers.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, there was that supply chain where the butcher shops were like, well, we can't get you in for 6 months, a year. And so a lot of the local farmers learned how to butcher the cows themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so they renovated their property and had like the flash freezers installed. That way they could package the meat, flash freeze it right there on spot, and ship it, or have people come to the store, come to there, pick it up, or they ship it out. Which is something that you guys are doing as well, if I remember correctly. You guys do some flash freezing and stuff like that as well, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah. So flash freezing is a common process at the slaughterhouse. So whatever slaughterhouse you're using, it usually goes into like a -10, -20 degrees freezer for initial freeze, and then it'll go into a standard freezer to hold it. What From the Farm is it's like the Etsy of farms and ranches. So just to provide some clarity, it's like Airbnb. The farms and ranches you find on FromTheFarm.org, they built their own store, they manage their own inventory, they set their own prices. Our mission is to help bridge the gap between urban and rural, because there are so many folks that have no idea how to contact and connect with a farmer or rancher directly. That we're working to make that much simpler. Our vision is that when somebody thinks, hey, I want to buy from a farmer, they think about From the Farm. Just like when you're traveling, you think about getting a place to stay. Usually it's Airbnb. We want the same thing for people to think about From the Farm when they're looking for farmers, because we built the system. I mean, we are producers. We've been there, done that. We built it by and for producers. So it has been, we've spent a lot of time and energy making sure that what we're developing is actually of service to both the consumer and producer. And it's come from our own trial and error. I mean, hell, I even ran a USDA slaughterhouse for a year in the process of trying to understand how to build this software. Now, I didn't have any plans to do that. If you would have told me in 2020 that you're going to have to run a slaughterhouse before you know what you're doing, I sure as hell wouldn't have started. I'd have turned those dreams of the guy in Iraq into something else in my head, because there's no way I would have stepped into a slaughterhouse. But I just asked too many questions, and then life put me there without knowing it was coming. And it actually turned out to be the most important part of the research I was doing, and was the last bit of research I needed to know that what we were building had a place in this world. And so I left the slaughterhouse and started building from the farm.
So when did the app or the because there is an app, right, that people can download? There's an app.
No app, just a website for now. We can build it as an app down the road if we choose, but apps are a lot more expensive to start. So we started with web-based, but it is designed to be able to convert to an app.
Okay.
We launched that in March of 2024. So we're about a year and a half, little less than a year and a half live since getting published. Almost 100 producers across the nation and growing. And we've served hundreds of customers, connecting them with the producers in our network across the nation.
Nice. So like, say if I wanted to go on the website and I wanted to find farms close to my area, how would I go about doing that?
Yeah, like you were saying in the beginning, you sign up, it's free, you put your address in, it remembers who you are. Now it's going to show you the people closest to you. Now, like I said, we've got almost 100 farms across the nation, so we aren't right next to everybody. But this is the process of growth. I can go and raise $10 million from venture capital or private equity and scale this son of a gun super quick. But then I'll lose control. They'll bastardize it and turn it into a money-making machine for themselves, not a place for producers and consumers to help fix the food supply chain. So we're going to do this organically and slowly. But yeah, go on there, set up an account, and put your zip code in, and it'll show you the people closest to you. Most of our producers will ship right to your door.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming if they are a local farm, let's say there's a farm 10 miles from me and they happen to be watching this, they're a veteran farmer and they want to be on your website, best thing for them to do is what?
Yeah, if you want to be on the website, you go to fromthefarm.org, and at the top it says become a producer. And then you can click on that, fill out the information. I would love to have you. I mean, we're working on a lot of really awesome projects for veterans specifically. We're partnered with a group called Hinterlands. Hinterlands is actually made up of veteran and active duty soldiers right now. One of them is Green Beret out of Southern California. They're actually ranching and doing regenerative livestock on military bases.
Nice.
And their mission is to train veterans to be farmers and get them on farms throughout the country so that they have another mission, another purpose, producing food for our nation. But yeah, we're working on some really awesome things for veterans and, to just get them involved in agriculture. We need more growers. We're only less than 2% of our population is growing food. America is on the precipice of famine. If anything major happens, we will see famine in this nation for many people. And the only way to fix that is to bring back an agrarian movement, an agrarian society, which just means we need more growers. And I know personally, as a vet, when I'm outside working with my hands in the dirt, in nature, I do much better. I feel better. I have a better outlook on life. I have a purpose. And so we're really, really working to connect with those folks and help make that difference.
Heck yeah. So I had Lacey Peterson. She's in South Dakota. She's a veteran. Her husband's a veteran. They're lamb farmers. They do lamb. So I think that would probably be. I've told her to reach out to you guys because I remember Adam and I was talking, and he found out that I was having them on the show, and he found out what they did, and I was like, he's like, well, have them connect with from the farm. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. I don't know if she has or not. But if she hasn't, I'm gonna definitely connect you guys via email. And it's called Peterson 611 Homestead is their
Okay.
name. So I'm definitely gonna get you guys connected, and then I haven't signed up yet. I'm going to today. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna log in and check and see what local farmers that are here in Kentucky, and if there's not the ones that I deal with, like Newton Farm to Table is one that I get my cat from our cows from, and then there's a couple in Barstown that we select depending on whoever's got pig ready that
Yeah.
we'll get. So if they're not on there, I'm gonna go to them or call them and be like, hey, you guys need to check this out and become one of the producers on this site, because I think it would help. For one, it'll help spread your mission,
Yeah.
and then it'll help spread that from the farm.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when you go out and you get a cow or half a cow or a quarter cow, depending on what your budget can allow for, the meat, for one, the meat's a lot fresher than what you get into the store. There's not all that preservatives and all that added extra junk in there to keep the meat looking fresh. You get it straight from the farmer, or from a website like yours here. You know what you're getting, especially
That's right.
if it's been all grain fed or wheat fed, whatever. You know what you're getting, and stuff in the market, you don't know what you're getting. Um, and
That's
then
right.
plus you're also getting a better deal. Like this 6 pounds of ground beef from White Oaks pastures, $55, or almost, or let's say $56, and then plus tax and then shipping. I'm assuming is there shipping added
Yeah.
afterwards?
Yep. As the customer goes to checkout, based on where you live, it'll just assess the shipping charge, and you guys will
Okay.
pay that at checkout. We partnered with a really great agency that they ship all of Ariat boots, and so we're on their same UPS account. So the rates are actually really good compared to others that I've seen. That's one of the other
Nice.
benefits of what we're doing with our model, is because we have so many producers that we're aggregating together. We can go out and negotiate for different prices on different things that they would otherwise pay a lot more for individually. So
Okay.
that's something that we're able to bring to this. You know, when I spent the 3.5 years asking questions, because when I had this idea, I met my mentor, and he said, "Look, the last thing I would ever do as a startup is software, because only 1 in 2,000 make it." And he was currently running a software startup. He has since exited he did very well and exited, but he's like, "You better know for sure." And so I spent 3.5 years just asking questions, because I had already gone through that bankruptcy, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to go through that again. So I better, do a bunch of due diligence. So I just asked questions for 3.5 years, and that's what ended me and put me in all those different experiences that I had. And the one thing that every farmer told me, every one of them, was the same: we need a competitive marketplace, because the existing marketplace is manipulated by the big food corporate giants.
Yep.
And so farmers are price takers, not price makers. In
Right.
other words, the average farmer or the average ranch beef seller, they only get 9 to 14 cents on the dollar for
Mm,
every pound of beef sold. So when you buy a $26 ribeye in the grocery store, that farmer only got very little money compared to what they got, right? That steak is probably not a whole pound. So
right.
they got 9 cents, 14 cents, and you just paid 26, and all the guys in the middle got all of that. And that
Yeah.
farmer is going bankrupt because he's not making enough. So from the farm is a vision to just cut out all the middlemen and make sure that the rancher and the farmer get that retail dollar, because they need it. Their
Yeah.
inputs have gone up like everybody else's. We lost 20,000 ranchers every year for the last 5 years.
That's crazy.
Let that
That's,
sink in.
yeah.
Our cattle
That's crazy.
numbers, yeah, our cattle numbers in the US are 1948 numbers. There's 87 million head of cattle and 340 million people to feed.
Mm,
If
mm,
that right now they're opening up the southern border today. They had it closed because of this New World screwworm, which was an issue back in the 50s and 60s, and they got rid of it pushed it all the way down to South America, down past the Panama Canal, but it's making a comeback, and it's only 700 miles south of our border. And so they shut down the border for all cattle imports because this is a massive threat to an already decimated inventory. And the only people that want those cattle to come across are the big food giants, because that's who they're buying the meat from. They're buying cheap cattle from the South, selling it at American prices at the grocery stores. So they're the ones who are pushing to get this open. But if they open it too soon and they don't have a handle on this, we're talking about, I mean, it just could be terrible. I'm not going to, I don't have a crystal ball, but common sense says it doesn't make sense to do that.
Yeah, it don't make sense to do that. I mean, honestly, I would prefer, me personally, this is just me speaking, I would prefer to go to a local farmer and get my meat from there. I don't want to go to Kroger and get my meat, or Value Market, which is two of the stores that are here in my hometown. And I would rather go to Barstown, which is 30 minutes from me. Go to Newton's farm, get me a half a cow, split it with my sisters or my mom, whoever, goes in there with me, bring my meat back home, stock my freezer. That way I know that money's going to a farmer that it's helping him keep his farm open.
Yeah.
And like you said, you go buy a $30 steak at Kroger, the farmer's only getting 9 to 14 cents per steak, pretty much. And a lot of times you're getting less than a pound of steak, depending on what you're getting. Like if you go out and get a filet mignon at Kroger, you're looking at $10 for a little filet that's maybe what, 6 ounces, and it's just like, and you're paying ungodly prices for it. But yet you can go to a farmer that butchers everything on site, flash freezes on site, and you can buy it from them. I mean, they normally have inventory ready to go, most of the time. Now, granted, during the wintertime when the cows are losing weight because they're not getting fed properly and everything, inventory might slow down. And that's why you have to follow their website or their Facebook page to know when it's time to go. So that's what we try to do. We try to map it out where um, when we're getting ready to run out, it's springtime, or right at the end of springtime. That way we know that they're already getting meat ready to go for the selling season. And and like I said, I love deer hunting, so I try to make sure I got enough regular beef to last me until November time frame, when I can go out and get me my my buck and my 4 does, and then I can refill my freezer with beef, from or venison, not beef, but refill it that way, and I have enough to last me until it's ready time to buy another cow. And I love like going to a farmer that grows corn or green beans or cucumbers, and buy fresh vegetables from them. Now, my grandmother, when I was growing up, taught me how to can. That was one of the things that she's like, hey, because she had a 5-acre garden, that we would go out there, and she'd have a rows of corn, she'd have green beans, she'd have carrots, you name it, she had it. And we would go out and we'd go, like all the cousins that were the same age, we would go over there, we would harvest her garden, go in that house with her. She'd be, we'd be shucking corn or breaking the beans in half or whatever, and putting them in a pressure cooker all right there on her stove. And that's something that I learned at a very young age, which nowadays a lot of people don't do canning. But I've taught my daughters on a smaller scale. Like I got a couple of raised garden beds out back that I'll grow, some green beans, and I'll grow some lettuce and stuff like that, and then I teach them on a smaller scale with a smaller pressure cooker than what my grandmother had, because the one she had would fit like 20 of the quart mason jars in it. I mean, it was a big old pressure
that
cooker.
is a big one.
And we would sit there and we would can like tomato juice, we would can green beans, cucumbers, we'd make pickles. And I love my grandmother's pickles. Like literally, every time I would go to grandma's house, she would have dill pickles waiting on me because that's
Nice.
just one of the things that I love. And still to this day, I love eating fresh dill pickles, made, unfortunately, my grandmother's no longer here, but my mom still makes grandma's pickles. So I
Yeah.
still get them. I still love it. But that's what I love about your website because, like, right on here, I'm seeing you got White Oak Pastures, you got Beck Ranch, you got B Bar H Premium Meat, Lewis Land and Cattle Farm. You got all Wild Art Farm, all these different places on here. So when people go order, whatever's close to them, will pop up, which is super cool. And it looks like some of the places, like this Lewis and Clark or Lewis Land and Cattle Farm, they got 5% off, 10% off. Maybe is that because they have an overstock and they're trying to sell, or is that just something that they do
Um,
randomly?
they might be, moving through inventory in their freezer, but Lewis Land and Cattle is awesome. They're a big enough operation where they sell both into the wholesale space and direct to consumer. So they're amazing. I talked to Jordan, which is the wife of the operation, with customer service on From the Farm pretty regularly. They're just awesome people. I mean, that's the thing that I like the most about what I do is the people I get to work with are farmers and ranchers, and that's my life, my background, growing up. And so it's like I just went to a cattlemen's conference the other day, and I was like, man, it's like coming home. It's like going to our family reunion because that's the lifestyle. But some of the things you were saying about learning those skills from your grandmother. I had a conversation with my grandma when she was alive, and she was like, man, life was so hard. We just didn't know any better. So
Yeah,
it was so hard for them as the comforts that we now experience today weren't available yet, but they didn't know any better. And I was reflecting on that and I thought, man, we're screwed because if we
yeah,
ever have anything major that takes us back to the skills that our grandparents had, we don't have those anymore. So
yeah,
they basically scaled into or down into comfort, already having skills. If we ever had to go right back to that, a very small percentage of our nation's population will know how to can.
yeah,
And
yeah,
canning food is the difference between starving to death in the winter or living. It's that simple. Can
yeah.
you preserve food? Do you know how to preserve food? Can you acquire food and maintain and manage it? And if you don't, you're dead.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I mean,
everybody knew that back in the day because that's where they came from. If we had anything major, we'd transition so quickly that I mean, we all know
oh
if you're
yeah,
in the military, it only takes a few days, couple of weeks before there's complete crumbling.
pandemonium. Yeah.
Yep.
So I was, like I said, I was very blessed. My grandparents had a 110-acre farm, and they had this is how they had a root cellar out of the back of the house. So like literally, we would walk out on the back porch, turn around and go to the back, open up this wooden door going down into the ground, flip the little light switch, climb down the ladder. She would have her potatoes in there. She would have all of the stuff that she can down there. It kind of reminds me of that song "Dust on the Bottom,"
Yeah.
because you go down there and there's dust on the food. But I
Yeah.
tell you what, man, that was the best eating ever, because when you got corn, she did green beans, carrots. I mean, she canned everything that she could can. Um, and it's just like we go up there and she goes, well, what do y'all want for dinner? And everybody, throw out ideas, and she's like, all right, go down there and get what I need. And then, we go down there and get what we needed, come back up. And that, but yeah, like you said, if tomorrow, if the whole supply chain shut down, the stores went empty with food, there would be mass pandemonium within 2 weeks
Yep.
because people wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I want to, so me personally, I want to learn, like, I know how to, like, if I go out and I shoot a deer, I know how to quarter it. I know how to do all of that. I know how to get it down to what I want. Um, but when it comes to smoking the meat to preserve it that way. That's something that I'm lacking in. I
Yeah.
want to learn more on how to do that, and I want to be able to teach my kids that. That way, when they get older and they decide to go deer hunting, which they love deer hunting, but if they want to go do it with their kids, they can pass that down to them. Like I passed down the canning to them. They know how to can, and I just want to be able to pass that down. And what I love about you guys is you got all these different farms from across the country, and I did go in and put my address in, and looks like there's a Wild Art Farm. Now, this says it's 86 miles from me.
Yep.
And then Lewis Land and Cattle Farm. Where is that?
Lewis Land and Cattle is in Sandy Hook.
Okay, because it's saying 167 miles from me, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah, it's in Sandy Hook, just outside of Lexington or West Liberty.
Kentucky or
Yeah, Kentucky. Yep.
okay, so then it is close to me then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Wild Art is in Edmonton.
Okay.
Wild
I
Art.
know.
Yeah. So on our platform, we allow cottage makers, food growers. We require them to be family owned or privately owned small businesses. So
Nice.
Wild Art, like if you go to Wild Art, they've got
Medicinal herbs and
medicinal
produce.
herbs and stuff like that, right? They're not selling the proteins and stuff like that, but they're a great family. They've got a great vision, and why not? It's like the whole beef tallow thing.
Yeah.
I saw this post like, can we stop with the beef tallow for lotion? No, until the grocery store has swapped out that line of lotion aisles that's full of chemicals that are making, causing problems. We shouldn't stop talking about using beef tallow for lotion because that should
Right.
be replaced. We should see that aisle replaced with tallow as the ingredient, right? And
Hell
so
yeah.
it's all of those farm value-added products that we want to make sure has a place for people to find, because we want to get out of the system that's been corporatized and focused on maximizing profit over the health of the consumer, because
Heck
that's
yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah, definitely. So like there's some farms that like Newton's Farm to Table I don't see on here. A few others that are close by. So I'm definitely going to reach out to them and be like, hey, you need to
Yeah.
check out from the farm.org,
Yeah.
because to get them on there. I mean, I know like Newton's Farm to Table is friggin' amazing. They have some great products, and then there's some local farms in Barstown, Kentucky that are amazing as well. That I think that should be on here because, like, I live in Mount Washington. Um, 86 miles is not that far to travel to go get. Like they don't have now. Wild Art Farm doesn't have beef, but they got specialty produce and medicinal herbs, which is good because like there's some home remedies that you can do with the medicinal with the herbs and stuff. I'll have to check out the produce, see what they have produce wise. But the closest beef producer would be the Lewis Land Cattle and Farm, which is 167 miles from me.
Yep.
Now,
And
if I'm
Lewis will ship right to your door. It'll be there in
yeah,
a day.
yeah. So
Yep.
I'm definitely going to check into them as well and see what they got to offer and see how it beats what we're getting already.
Yeah.
Of course, I do have a local butcher shop that I love going to.
That's great.
Down in now. Do you do butcher shops too as
We sure
well?
do. Yeah, we sure do. In fact, it wasn't something I was going to allow on there until I ran one, and I was like, "Oh shit, these guys are in trouble too. We better make it available for them." Running a
Okay.
slaughterhouse, I pretty much learned that if you don't have your own retail label, in other words, the one I ran was called Wyoming Legacy Meats. The way a slaughterhouse makes money is there's a few different ways, but I'll keep it simple. Somebody brings their cow, pays you to kill it, process it, put it in bags, and then they come pick it up. That's one way to make money in a slaughterhouse. There's many other ways, but there's not enough revenue in that to just make that work. And
Okay.
so they have to have other verticals, other revenue sources to make it pencil out. And so a lot of these small slaughterhouses, like we did, we started Wyoming Legacy Meats. So we would buy the cattle from a local rancher that was going to just otherwise take it to the auction. We would process it and sell it like a white label, just like Butcher Box or Good Chop or Good Rancher or whatever. We would sell it as Wyoming Legacy Meats, but we processed it.
Okay.
So that was necessary. We needed to be able to do that to make extra revenue so that we could be viable. And so after realizing that, I was like, man, we do need to let small local slaughterhouses, privately owned slaughterhouses, be on here as part of the, part of making sure that we have more inventory. As you see, there's only 100 folks. We have 2% of the population is all. Even if we got everybody on there that was a family operation, there's still not enough to feed America. We still need the big system to exist. Like that's what I tell folks. I don't think we should we shouldn't kill the system we have now and start over. It needs to
Right.
be a gradual transition because the system we have now is the only thing keeping us from starving to death.
Right.
Your average ranch only has 30 cows. And we already talked about the number of cattle left, 87 million head of beef cattle. What that
Yeah.
means for the audience is when I say 87 million head of beef cattle, I don't mean dairy, whatever's on dairy. I'm talking what's in the beef supply chain, bulls, mamas, and calves, all of those. That's only
Right.
87 million.
Mm.
And so if we stopped importing beef, we starve. So I'm not saying we got to stop now, but I'm saying anybody that's listening, anybody that's paying attention, the 3% of the population that's got it figured out that if we don't do some shit, we're in trouble. We're here. And in fact, the farmers and ranchers are there, and we can't do it without you. I mean, the reality is this: I can do it without people if I go raise a bunch of money from private equity, but I promise you they're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
And
They
so,
definitely would.
yeah,
I mean, because all right, so you got something great here, and if you go to private equity, like you were saying, and the big names get in on it, right? They're going to jack up the prices,
yeah,
and they're going to then there's going to be preservatives and shit like that added into it later on, because you won't know where you're getting it from. You might see a farm that's close to you, but in reality, it's coming from Mexico,
yeah.
and it's just like,
Well,
so
what'll happen if private equity gets involved? Like right now, we don't, and we aren't going to. We don't have any commission on the product that's sold. The farmer keeps it all. But private equity will come in and be like, "Hey, man, we're driving all this traffic. Why don't we add a 15% commission on what they're selling? Hey, man, they're still doing pretty good. Let's take it to 30.
yeah,
Hey, man, we're crushing it for these guys. Let's go." Before you know it, they've ruined the entire vision, which was to create a marketplace, a competitive marketplace, which means for the producer and not the company. That's a
right,
competitive marketplace, right? And so they'll do that, or they'll all of a sudden, like, we will never sell whole food with from the farm's label on it. I'm not going to compete with our producers. But you get private equity in there, and someday when we have a million eyeballs coming through traffic, all of a sudden there's a package of from the farm ground beef,
yeah,
right? They're going to, because it's private equity. They're not making decisions consciously of the benefit of the people that you're serving. They're making it off the bottom line.
right,
So unless I'm just, the reality is this is a great experiment to see if the American people want to rally for a new food system or not. And if they
yeah.
don't, we won't last. I mean, we're almost $1 million in development. We have amazing. We have a crowdfunding campaign that's closing at the end of the month. We've raised over $340,000 from 350 people on WeFunder, and we've raised more than that through other investment. It will go away if the American people don't show up and say this is what we want.
That's why we need to get you out there to the masses because honestly, I think a lot of veterans probably feel the same way that I do when it comes to, hey, let's get our meat, from a local farmer or something of that nature. And I think if we get the message out there to enough of these local farmers and have them join the movement, because this is what this is a movement. And because there's a lot of us that are afraid that World War III is going to come around the corner because I mean we're due a big war. I mean I hate to say it, we are due a big war, and if the supply chain stops, where are you getting your food from?
Well,
And
yeah,
that's
this is something others, I'm glad I like being on veteran podcasts because everybody thinks multiple layers deep. They think strategy. They understand warfare. They understand supply chain disruption and how that can affect outcomes. We have only 30 slaughterhouses that process 80% of the meat we consume.
mm, that's
30.
crazy.
30
That's crazy.
slaughterhouses produce 80% of the meat consumed in America. And those are soft targets.
Mm, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Very,
So I
very
don't need to
soft
go
target.
into, and we have 20 million foreign people in our country that we didn't vet. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
folks, like if you aren't doing something to put some beef in the freezer or whatever else in the freezer and grow some of your own food or shake the hand that feeds you. So when it goes south, they know they can count on you to protect them and you have them as a resource for food.
Yep.
Now's the time.
Yeah. It definitely is because that's one of the things. Like when my kids were growing up, I got two daughters. Right when they were very young, Dad would go deer hunting. I'd bring deer meat home, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're not eating that because you're killing Bambi." I'm like, "Babe, what would happen if Kroger goes under and Value Market goes under and all these big ass stores go under? Where are you gonna get your food from?" I said, "Think back when Davy Boone and Daniel Crockett came into Kentucky. How do you think they fed their family?" I said, "They went out, they hunted deer, they hunted elk, they hunted whatever they could hunt to put food in the." No, I said freezer, but it's not really freezer back then. But
Yeah.
I said they put food in storage to feed their family through the winter time.
Yep.
And that's what eventually that's probably what's going to wind up happening in the future. You never know. Of course, everything might be dehydrated and, late 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, but who knows? I won't be here to see that more than likely. My
Yep.
kids will be, but I won't be.
Yep.
And my grandbabies might be. So I want to be able to pass down, being able to go out and kill your first deer, go out and kill your first turkey, go out and kill you a bullfrog, eat up some frog legs or turtle soup or whatever, just so my kids know, hey, this is an avenue in case you can't go to a store and get what you need. You can grow your own food by growing a garden, or you can go out in the woods and get you a deer, get you a turkey, get whatever you need to put food on the table for your family.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody in America should be able to do that, but that's just I'm a country boy from Kentucky. That's the way I
Yeah.
think everybody should think. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, uh, no, I love what you're doing, and like I said, I'm going to talk to a lot of the local farmers around me that I know,
Thank you.
and say, "Hey, you need to check this out and become a producer on there and start selling your stuff this way as well," because they're already doing it locally. But if we can expand that where they're serving a bigger area around Kentucky, and southern Tennessee or northern Tennessee and West Virginia and stuff like that. I think that would be amazing for them, would be amazing for you guys as well. Uh, so we're getting close to the end of the show. And what's up, Gunny? Thank you, brother. Thank you. That's Gunny there. Hopefully you're
Yeah.
feeling better, Gunny. We're going to be keep saying prayers for you, brother. Um, we're getting close to the show. So you said you got a not a GoFundMe, but you got a what did you say? What'd you
A
say it was?
crowdfunding. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
crowdfunding. So if somebody wanted to donate to that or become a partner with you in that route, how would they be how would they do that?
yeah, if you go to wefunder.com/from the farm, it's an SEC regulated investment. So there is an ROI. SEC has some weird rules, so I can't go into details, you know, this way, which is
Right.
interesting. But if you go there, you can read it all, but there is an ROI on your investment. So it's not a donation. I wanted to wait till we were at the level where if you did want to get involved with capital, you would get something back if we succeed. So I didn't want to just say, oh, here's a shirt and a hat and whatever. It's actually a financial return. So yeah, if you go to wefunder.com/from the farm, you can see the details on that. We are closing it at the end of July. And then we're going to be talking to some people for bigger investments that are values aligned so we can really scale it. I mean, we spent the last year focused on the software. The software is pretty good. It's going to always have to get better. And if you compare me to Shopify right now, they're years and years and tens of millions of dollars ahead. So you got to give me some grace. But with AI coming on, I think we can catch up to Shopify pretty quick with a lot less money. But it's been a year of software development. Now we're shifting gears, driving traffic to really start supporting the farmers on there. That's our main mission. Our main mission is that you're not running around the pasture changing wheel lines saying, "What's up, everybody? Go to our website." And blah. Those guys are too damn busy to be influencers. They'll
Right.
do it for a little bit, but you guys all know if you're on social media, the algorithm will drop you the second you stop posting.
Yep.
So they become slaves to the algorithm to try to sell their beef. We're here to cut that out for them so they can do what they've got to do, which is grow food for us and get to that point. So that's what we're up to.
Heck yeah. So
Looks
Gunny
like
says,
Mama jumped in.
yep. She must be done with dinner.
Yeah, good. We should let you get
Gunny
to it.
says still in the hospital trying to figure this infection out. Well, brother, we're still praying for you, Gunny. Just take care of you, and if you need anything, reach out to Julie or I. We'll be there in a heartbeat if we need us. And thank you, baby, for the birthday wish. But no, man, this has been awesome. So guys, ladies, gents, if you're out there, you're a farmer and you're watching this, a veteran, especially veteran farmers, go to www.fromthefarm.org and go in there and click on be a producer. That way you can get your farm listed on there, and you can reach out to a bigger area than what you're already reaching out to. Go to wefunder.com/from the farm. If you want to donate, you get some ROI on the return on your investment. So go check it out fromthefarm.org. AJ, I want to thank you again for coming on and hanging out with me for this hour. It's been a great conversation and great information. This is something that I'm passionate about is going out hunting, getting my own food, or going out to a farmer and getting what we need to feed the family. So it's definitely right up my wheelhouse.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for having me on your birthday, man. It's good to spend some birthday time with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you for coming on here. It's been my pleasure to have you on here. The conversation's been great. Guys, ladies, gents, if you're watching this now or you're watching it later, make sure you go to www.fromthefarm.org. Check it out. Sign up, become a member. If you are a farmer, go become a producer, and let's get this movement rocking and rolling, because you never know what's around the corner. You never know what's coming. So AJ, I'm gonna drop you down, close out the show. If you want to hang out, you can, and then we can talk a few minutes before I have to go upstairs and enjoy some birthday cake with the people upstairs. But let me get this closed out, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Man, ladies and gents, that was friggin' amazing. So like I said, go check out www.fromthefarm.org, or you can go to the crowdfunder.com/fromthefarm. Donate there if you want, or not donate, but invest. And they close it out at the end of July, so you've got a couple weeks to go do that. And then afterwards, but yeah, if you know any farmers in your area, wherever you're watching, and they want to, sell product online via this movement here, have them go to the website and become a producer. Gunny, I know you're not here, brother, so I'm gonna try to do this justice, man. Guys, you're not alone. If you're out there and you're thinking you are alone, you're not. There's people that care about you. There's people that want you to show up tomorrow. Don't let the dark days win. This right here, I think this says it the best. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You're not alone. I think that says it in volumes right there. And then hashtag be someone stranger. Listen, if you're out and about and you're having, you see somebody having a bad day, go up to them and say, "Hey, how you doing?" If they give you the red flags, "I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream," ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. Could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for that. And the reason I say that is because we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So ask the next hard question. And then it takes a village. Like this website right here is all these different veteran or farmers. I can't say all veteran farmers, but all these different farmers, ranchers from across the country. It takes a village to support each other. And if we lose that mentality of being a village, what's going to happen if the world does go to a hell in a handbasket and you have nobody to lean on? You're going to fall apart. Pandemonium is going to set in. And we know what happens when pandemonium sets in. So, yeah, take care of your people. Gunny says it right here. You're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Surround yourself with people who build you up, not tear you down. Don't let the dark days win. You do not have to be a product of your environment. Can't say it no better than Gunny. He's got it down to science. Give a big shout out to our partners, Heroes Media Group, Reese Across America Radio, Military United Podcast Streams, Elite Engraving, Same Flag, Same Oath.com. So you go check out Same Flag, Same Oath.com. We have a shirt on there. I wore it on yesterday's episode. It says Marine It Down on there. You go there, you go to Same Flag, Same Oath.com, go to co-branded, scroll down till you see our shirt, Marine It Down. Order the shirt. At the end of the year, HomeFront Sitrep's going to get 25% of all sales. What we're going to do is we're going to take that check and we're going to put all these veteran nonprofits on there. We're going to spin that wheel. Whoever it lands on is getting that check. And then, Elite Engraving, who does my HomeFront Sitrep hats, you can actually find that on my website, homefrontsitrep.com. We're going to get 20% of all sales. And then just like we were going to do with the shirts, we're going to put that money together and all nonprofits spin it. Whoever it lands on is going to get that check as well. So go check out homefrontsitrep.com. And then also while you're at it, go check out fromthefarm.org. But it is that time of night, and I hate to do this, but it is that time of night. Like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.